Welcome everyone to episode 5 of the Well That's Horrific podcast. Here we talk about anything and everything horror. I'm your co-host Tom Cruise.
And I am Mr. S.
And we have a fun episode for you guys tonight. Barbarian.
Yeah, finally. I finally got to see it.
Yeah. I've been waiting on you for this one for some time now.
Yeah.
I saw this back when it was released.
I know. You mentioned it a couple of times, but like I said, there was a lot of things to catch up on, and this is one. You know what? I told you this, though. Like, this wasn't something that I was interested in from the beginning.
I'll tell you this much. There's no way you thought this is what you thought it was when you saw the trailer.
Absolutely.
This is what you thought it was?
100%.
No.
I'm saying I agree with you that this is not what I thought it was at all. I saw the trailer. Well, I forgot what movie I saw in theaters, but I saw the trailer to this. I'm just like, why? Like, what is this movie?
The whole Airbnb twist, you're like, wait, why would she go inside?
Yeah.
And it's Bill Skarsgård, and you're like, this guy's it, and he's so creepy.
Yeah. And yeah, so we got a lot to talk about. So spoilers are ahead, as you know. But yeah,
I say let's take it away. I'll let you do the blast synopsis, and we'll go from there.
Absolutely. So, spoiler warning again. Barbarian, directed and written by Zach Kreger. The synopsis here is: a woman staying at an Airbnb discovers that the house she has rented is not what it seems. Cool. Very, straightforward, but not giving, really too much. Initially, my thought was, how dumb is this? Like, even when I saw the trailer, I'm just, how stupid is this? Like, no way in my lifetime will I ever stay with somebody in an Airbnb where it's double booked, right? Not even with you. Like, if it's like if I knock on the door and you're answering the door like, yo, Tommy.
It's the fact that it's a stranger, right? It's the fact that there's a stranger.
Absolutely.
It's a stranger, and then, I mean, there's a lot of things immediately. Like we mentioned before. Like, one, not only is the trailer completely different than the movie itself, but it's one of those trailers that you're like, come on, man. Like, we know better than this. She should know better than this.
Absolutely. And, I agree with that. I think that's absolutely true. But I got to give credit to the movie for the way they did it, though, because we knew, I mean, I, at least as an audience, I saw that it was a ridiculous idea, but as it went on, it kind of, the transitions and how, Georgina Campbell, who plays Tess, and Bill Skarsgård, how they kind of find mutual ground and start talking. And you kind of feel for Tess, like, okay, it's not so bad,
Yeah,
I think they do a great job with that. I really do. I gotta give them credit, even though I still disagree with her, decision. But
they do a good job of justifying that decision. So, like, over time, absolutely. It's more so like, okay, maybe it's okay. Yeah. I do agree with you there 100%.
Yeah, I was under the impression that she made the decision to go in, like, in the trailer. This is me just watching the trailer, and that was it. Like, she went in and, like, she was okay with it. It clearly wasn't the case here. I think they do a good job of showing you the surroundings. Like, obviously this takes place in Detroit, and it's like a beat down neighborhood where it's like no life is existent for some reason. Like, it's very mysterious, and she obviously has no place to go. Like, she knocks on the door, and he answers the door, right? And he tells him, like, oh, it's double booked. I booked it already, blah, blah. Like, he's being very cordial, obviously to her, she's being very apprehensive, very wary. And to her credit, she's absolutely 100% correct. So they do a good job of kind of canceling out the check marks. Like, she called a hotel, everything's booked. There's nothing around her anymore. They decide to, like, lock the doors when they sleep and stuff like that, and I think it's pretty cool. Like, she decides to not drink wine from him, and he even does a good job of being like, look, it's fresh. Like, I'll open it. Like, I haven't. Yeah,
open it in front of her. I want to stop you right there, though, because the setting is a big part of this movie.
Absolutely.
Not only Detroit, but obviously there's a lot that's happened there. But the specific neighborhood that she's in, it's a very bad neighborhood, as you mentioned. The house that she's in, it's almost like it's the only good house on the block. Everything around is completely destroyed. And they do a good job of setting this environment to you to the point where maybe, she is making the right decision of staying there, right? There's even a point where she sees somebody outside and she gets scared. She doesn't know who's this person,
Right.
like running towards the house.
Yeah, no, they did a fantastic job. I think that's a fantastic like writer. What was his name, Zach again? I think amazing to make you feel dumb. It makes you feel stupid for
Yeah,
thinking, "Oh, that was stupid." Like the decision she made was stupid. And then I just this movie itself, it takes these turns that I did not expect. There were 3 points in this movie where I was just like, "Whoa, I did not see that coming," or "Where's this thing going?"
yeah.
Um,
I definitely I have a strong opinion on the first half of this movie,
okay,
and then the second half of this movie. And there is definitely a turning point, and I was more intrigued as the movie was going on, and then
okay,
there was a point that once you know the twist and once you know what's going on, it's no longer as interesting, right? And I feel like this happens to a lot of movies. It's like once you know what's behind it all, now it's a question of whether the movie was worth it at that point, right? The end point where it got you and everything that happened beforehand. Because the beginning
true.
of this movie is like it could have been. There's so many outcomes from the first half of this movie. Like you can honestly take the first half of this movie and write 4 or 5 different endings, or like 4 or 5 second halves where like the twist could be something different every single time. Um,
Well, I would like to like understand what you mean by that in the sense of like what like you can write it different ways if you didn't already know what existed in the basement, or you talking about
yeah,
what you already know exists in the basement.
no, so not including what we know in the basement. So like I think
Oh,
you
okay.
nailed you nailed it right there. It's really when it comes down as to like the more you that gets revealed. So once you know what's in the basement, you know what's in the basement. So there's
All
so
right.
much intrigue up until that point, up until
Mm-hmm.
the reveal, and then you know
Yep.
what's happening. Um, and again, I think if this is what they were going for, it was executed very well. A little strange here and there, obviously, with the whole was it his that was his daughter. It was weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think like the first half of this movie does a good job of selling you on the atmosphere, selling you like the whole house is scary. Then there's the basement, and there she
Right.
gets the atmosphere in the beginning of this movie is it's lost once you know the reveal, right? Once you know everything
Right.
behind it, it's like now you know there's a boss or there's a bad guy, um, and then the first half of this movie you don't know what's going on, right? Yeah, you mentioned it like when you're watching the trailer, they kind of sell you on maybe it's Bill Skarsgård, maybe his character is the bad guy on this, but
That was my impression. I thought that was the whole thing from the
yeah,
get
but
go.
it takes so much time, and it's not to say that it dragged, but it was just they tease you with like him having a nightmare and the door opening by itself, and then there's the basement, and then she gets locked downstairs, and then she finally makes it out of downstairs, and then he wants to check the basement, and there's this room that you don't know what it belongs to, and it's just I don't know. I feel like you get to a point where the movie, like I mentioned, it you don't know where it's going, and then you get there, and then it's like, okay, we're here. That's it. There's
Yeah.
no turning back now.
I definitely see what you're saying, and you make a lot of good points. I think a lot of the questions that I had and the ones that you just kind of mentioned, like his nightmare and how the doors open in the room, I think a lot of those, I think they do purposely for us to try to kind of guess too, like as what happened. I already have a guess for the room itself, and um, the door I didn't understand myself because I felt like if you know the girl, the daughter, the mom, whatever you want to call her,
Yeah,
um, if she was up there, I promise you she'd be making a lot more noise than what she was doing. Like so that's where I felt like it was kind of a little weird. The nightmare was weird
yeah,
too.
and that's
I
in
do
retrospect.
that is in retrospect, absolutely. I do understand, what you're talking about in terms of this movie being different. In the first half, you were very intrigued. There was definitely suspenseful. You had questions about Keith and his character, which I absolutely, fell victim to because I did not know what was going on. I definitely thought he had something to do with something because you never had a double booking before. That not that I know of. I thought the twist was pretty cool. It definitely caught me by surprise. and I definitely questioned where this movie was going. And then I had more questions because it stopped and it introduces AJ, Justin Long, who we know played in Jeepers Creepers.
Yeah, no, we know him from a lot of things. I
From a
love
lot of
Justin
definitely
Long.
a lot of things, but he's Jeepers Creepers was the first thing I've ever seen him in, and they introduced a different story now with him. And then
Yeah,
in my head, I'm just like, what is going on? Because this is taking place days later, several, and this is we're to a point where we don't really know what that creature was. You know, for the sake of this podcast, let's just call it the daughter,
well,
because I don't want to get confused. So the daughter, we don't know who that daughter was and what she was going. You know, with I liked it. I'm not gonna lie, I liked it because I like when a movie makes me question things for the good, not for the plot holes and whatever. I think it's great. I think it makes my mind work. AJ's character was awesome. I thought it was cool. I think he did a great job portraying the character of like he's
yes,
like up
100%.
here doing great. He's living life. He's singing in his car, and then he just gets one phone call, and everything completely goes downhill there for him.
The dude has problems, man.
Dude, he is sick. You know, I'm not gonna lie. I felt bad for him. I felt bad for him because I didn't know what was going on, and like he looked innocent.
and then you start getting the reveals, and you're like, okay, wait, maybe he's not so innocent.
That scene at the club or the bar, whatever you want to call it, I was
it's like wow,
dying.
man.
But yeah, I think they do a good job of kind of luring you into that's actually his house. Like that's one of the properties that he had that he was talking to with his accountant, and it's just interesting. I think it's just interesting how they brought him there, and like he doesn't question anything himself. Like with the houses around him, there's all burnt down, crashed down, like no life. Like I said, it's just
He's so oblivious to the outside world that he's
absolutely.
just like focused on this, and he doesn't care about anything.
Yeah, and I don't know. I think they tied it pretty well. I did think that Tess was dead at first. I was like, "There's no way," because it's like weeks later. Again, I don't know what's going on down there. And then this guy AJ is so obsessed with trying to
That's
add
where
more square footage to his selling point.
I'm looking at the screen at this point, and I'm like, really? Is this guy really using his fucking measuring tape here, and going down to the basement like, oh my god,
And
look, I got this.
He's seeing everything. He's seeing this room. He's seeing the camera. He's seeing this, and he's like,
he's not disturbed by it at all.
Yeah.
I think up until that point, I was still very intrigued. So to bring back up what you said, like the once it changes from Tess to AJ, I was still very intrigued. Like I'm thinking, shit, there's fucking zombies in the basement or some shit. I don't know what's going on. So up until that point, I'm very, very intrigued. And Justin Long's character, I mean, hats off to him. He killed that character. He played it to a T. And I think I lost some interest once you get all the reveals of like what's going on, the whole baby thing and the monster. And I'm like, okay, all right, that's it. And not to say that I didn't like the movie, because I thought it was very, very well done. But I think that's where it flipped for me. I was like, once I knew the reveal and I mean, there's still parts that were interesting, specifically Justin Long's character and how much of an asshole he was. But for me, personally, once it got revealed and we see Justin Long's character meet up with Tess in this little pit or whatever you want to call it, that they're both captured, and he refuses to, drink the milk, and she's like, drink it. Basically reveals that this is how she got, survived. I got some flashbacks to like Don't Breathe and all the disturbing things that the reveal there. And I mean, I still enjoyed the movie. It's just that once it got there, I was like, I don't know. I think it could have been better. I think that final stretch could have been done a little bit better.
Yeah, I think I agree with you, but I'm not upset with it. I think I'm okay with the three different stories at that point, because we also have Frank. By the way, I know him from Halloween too. He's a lot of things too. I know he's in a lot of Rob Zombie movies, no?
Right,
yeah. But he's the one in Halloween too who gets his head absolutely decapitated.
Yeah.
But
Say what you want about those Rob Zombie movies, but you got some brutal kills.
Yeah, absolutely. I give them credit for that, but yeah, I wasn't upset with that. I think the way they did it tied it together very well. I thought it was also very suspenseful how they kind of ended every part in like a little bit of a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
I just wish there was more clarification on why the daughter would only come out during the night. I think that didn't make any sense to me. I understand that there's the homeless guy when he saves the girl, and he was explaining it to AJ too, how she only comes out at night, and like she like there obviously something went wrong because of the father, and like he apparently like raped other women and had kids with them, and then he had kids with those kids. And not fun fact, horrible fact is the fact that if you have a kid like through like incest or something, you are more likely to have that kid is more likely to have problems. It's just a known fact. I think it's a chromosome issue, if I'm not mistaken, but it's definitely.
And maybe that's how they justify this, whatever you want, the daughter looking the way she is, and
exactly,
whatever.
Exactly.
But I don't know. To me, that's where it lost me. I don't know. I just also felt like the dad, like all of that, just for the dad to off himself.
That's the thing that got me confused. I thought he was going to try to shoot AJ. That's why AJ was like, yo, man, chill out and stuff like that. I thought there was going to be more significance to it. But I think because the room was that guy, Frank's. I thought that was his room. I thought he recorded like the rapings or whatever it is that he did. Yeah. I thought there was going to be some type of
big reveal
story coming from him. Yeah, like some story, like this is what he did. And like, because they just showed that scene and that's it. I feel
like there's like a deleted scene there, man.
There has to be, yeah, because it was just like thrown in there. I guess if you really want to like be nice, it's like, okay, I guess that's enough to explain to me that he was sick. Like he went into the house, acted like gas services and just unlocked the window. I just think this movie, it's good. I mean, it's not bad. It's not a bad movie. It's just there's definitely like a little bit more information they can provide us. I don't like the title of the movie. I don't like Barbarian because who's it for? Like are you trying to say it's for the daughter? Or are you trying to say it's for the victims?
You know what? I never even thought about that.
Yeah, they said it once in the scene. I think it was Keith. He's like, it's like a dungeon down here or something like that. And I'm like, oh, cool, dungeon. Linking it with Barbarian. But I don't like the title of the movie. I feel like that's why. I think that's probably why it also threw me off too. I don't know, but I liked it. I really liked it. I what you're saying, I agree with 100%. But I also don't mind it. I feel like it was good enough for me to disregard it. I feel like the things that they did they kind of committed to it, especially with Tess, through Tess, and they told a lot of the story through Tess, and I was okay with it. I thought AJ's character was great too. He's an asshole because, like I said, you start to feel for him, and then you start figuring out all these things. And at the end, also, he throws her off.
Yeah,
like, I'm sorry. Like, what do you?
So every time you feel sorry for him, you get a reveal. So you feel sorry for him, then you get the reveal that okay, maybe he did do what he was accused of. Then you start to feel bad for him again when he shows remorse. And then he goes and tries to, kill Tess and throw her off the balcony. I'm like, oh, the thing, whatever, the water tower. And I'm like, okay, this guy, like, this is unredeemable now. You're dead. Yeah, I really enjoyed the movie. I'm actually surprised you enjoyed it as much. I thought you wouldn't like it as much as I would. But I really liked the movie. I just prefer the first half, or maybe even a little bit more than the first half, rather than the second half. I think... The beginning is far more interesting, and
absolutely.
I don't know. I was completely sold. Like I was at the edge of my seat at the beginning of this movie.
I was a fan. I was a fan in the beginning because I was a fan because it felt so real and it felt so simple, and I feel like that's what maybe horror movies today do lack is just simplicity. And I thought they were doing it very well. Like, this thing could be really real. Like, you couldn't really book an Airbnb, and like somebody else could have really had it, and you could have really had no other place to go. And like these things can happen. You can meet a stranger or whatever. I agree. I think the first half was absolutely interesting.
Also, genius casting Bill Skarsgård, because he, just him being him, you thought he was the bad guy.
Yeah,
he didn't even have to talk.
I kept waiting for something with him. I kept waiting for something for him. I'm like, okay, something's gonna happen here this time. Like, I thought he initially opened the door. I thought that was creepy. I thought that was really
Uh,
creepy, actually, when she's
yeah,
sleeping in the door
they should have
open.
shot. They should have shot two versions
Yeah.
of the movie, and it would have been this movie, and then one where Bill Skarsgård is just the bad guy the entire
Yeah,
time.
honestly, I think that would be genius. I think that would be genius. But yeah, I mean, it was a good movie. It was all right. Like I wasn't too crazy. It definitely is better than what I thought it was going to be. Um, but yeah,
Final rating.
Barbarian. 7 out of 10. I'll give it a 7 out of 10.
Yeah,
I thought
I have to agree with you. I was actually leaning
Yeah.
closer to 8, but I'll give it a 7.5.
okay, yeah, that's
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, that was good. I'm glad I watched it. I'm glad I caught up on that. It wasn't really a waste of time. So if anyone's out there trying to watch a movie, here it is. Watch it. It's on HBO Max. So
Yep, highly recommend.
that.
To be honest,
yeah.
even if I didn't enjoy the second half, the first half is more than worth.
Right.
All right, moving on.
Yeah, moving on. Do you want to maybe talk about what you did, for Halloween?
Or-
Because spooky season is officially over.
Listen, it's always spooky season.
It is
when you're
always
listening
spooky
to the
season.
Well That's Horrific podcast.
Yes, I
Um,
like that.
However, it's what we both did because actually
Yes.
we both went to haunted houses for Halloween,
That is true. We definitely did.
and I have to say I was thrown off guard. So you warned me. You went the day before me, right?
Yes,
We
I
went
did.
to. Correct me if I'm wrong. If I'm mispronouncing it or missing the name, the title. Pure Terror Screen Park. Is that correct?
Absolutely, everybody. Pure Terror Scream Park, located in Monroe, New York.
Yes.
That's where we went. I've never been there. I told Tommy about it.
Yeah.
He's never been there. We were supposed to go together, but we had a busy month. We unfortunately couldn't do that. He ended up going a day after me.
Yes. So actually, they ended up throwing a surprise birthday party for me. And it was an '80s themed surprise Halloween party the
I
day
like
that
that.
you went. The day you went. So I ended up going the day after Sunday, and I really enjoyed it. The first thing I'll tell you is that the animatronics were above any other haunted house that I had been to.
Everything about this, all my expectations were just exceeded. Every single one. Animatronics, actors, the setting, the setup, the houses, just
So
Everything was
immediately, what threw me off guard. I've been to several haunted houses. I've been to ones that are just local, like, hey, I set up this house, and
right.
somebody just set it up and either rented the house or one of their friends or family owned the house and they just set it up. I've been to, of course, Six Flags Fright Fest. This year, I also went to Philadelphia. I went to Eastern State Penitentiary. That was very, very nice. And this was a completely different experience, right? So when you have a traditional haunted house, you just you go into the haunted house, you exit. When you go to Six Flags, when you go to Eastern State Penitentiary, they're very similar. They're a park, right? You go to
Right.
Six Flags, you have multiple haunted houses, but it's a big park, right? You go to
Right.
the entire amusement, and you get to pick. You make a line for each haunted house, and then you're in. I don't know if you want me to start first, but you warned me about it. You said, "Hey, there was a long line, but it might be different because it's Sunday." So I go, and I'm thinking it's gonna be a park. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
is the line. This is the line.
Yeah.
This must be how I get into the park. We're waiting here. It's about an hour. We finally get in. Immediately into a haunted house. I'm like, okay, so maybe you start at a haunted house and then you exit and then you get to look around or something. No, it's just a continuous haunted house. It's 10 haunted houses in a row.
Exactly. So I did not know. First of all, anyone who hasn't been there, we're not going to spoil it. We're just going to tell you what we liked about it. We're not going to go into details of each house and whatnot. But first of all, it was busy because it was Halloween weekend. I went on a Saturday, and they do give you the option to cut the line in half if you want a VP access or whatever it's called. But there's a sign there halfway through the line. I'm like, why would you not just tell me this in the beginning?
Yeah.
Whatever. So yeah, I didn't know that. So I was under the impression that there were just houses scattered, and I can just go to each one, kind of like
Exactly.
Universal or something,
Yep.
No, it wasn't like that. And I was like, okay, cool. My concern with that was am I gonna have enough time? Because I went with my wife. I was like, am I gonna have enough time to experience it to the fullest degree with just her? And the answer is yes. The way they do it is yes. Unfortunately for me, about the time we got into the fifth house, something had happened that caused a lot of congestion, and we kind of went with a group, but it still turned out great. But go ahead. I'm gonna let you continue.
No, so I mean, I'm glad I wasn't the only one surprised by the way it was set up. So like,
Yeah.
I thought it was the same way. I thought you went in and then you get to pick your haunted house because ahead of time the ticket says there's 10 haunted houses. You don't know it's 10 haunted houses that you have to do back to back to back to back to back.
Yep.
So I did the first one. All right, and I'm like, okay, there's another one. Like, is it 2 in a row? Am I still in the same one? And then I keep on going, and I'm thinking, okay, maybe there's a break in between or something. And I'm here like, and it gets to a point where I also went with my girlfriend and another friend, and she had to stop. She was like, okay, I need a break. So we let some people pass by us. It was only because there was so many, like, again, back to back haunted houses. But it was a completely different experience. And the thing that impressed me the most, again, the actors, great. For me, the biggest thing was the animatronics, the actual mannequins. They were so well done to the point where like you could honestly confuse a lot of them for real people. And in comparison to what I've seen in other haunted houses, this was like top of the line.
They seriously went all out. And before I got to go inside, there were 2 girls in front of me, 2 women in front of me, and they just said, "Nope, can't do it." Like they waited in line the whole time to just say, we give up. And then still, while I was trying to go in, there was a lady. I felt kind of bad for, like, as security's with her. She was like on, like, she was sitting down and she had her head like this. And I'm just like, there's no way, like, this is really that scary, And then we just got in there, like you said, like they went all out. The animatronics, the houses are very specific. They're themed, like you have like clowns and whatnot. And man,
I really like that too.
I like that too a lot. The actors themselves, I think they couldn't have casted better people for this. Like they have like their
costumes were top notch too.
Their costumes were top notch. Their bodies and they're screaming and they're acting. Like there was like one part where the girl was like, "Help me!" Like
in the bus.
Me. I'm like, "Yo, what the fuck is going on?" And I just thought they were great. So I got a little bit piece of information from somebody in front of me. He was still scared too, but he said that he's been here before, and he said that because of COVID, they can't touch you anymore because apparently they used to come and touch you and stuff like that.
So I actually wondered about that because there's haunted houses that usually you have to opt in for that sort of thing. When I went to Eastern State Penitentiary, they give you a glow stick or like a glow necklace, and if you wear the glow necklace, then they're allowed to touch you. So. And the cool thing about that is not only are they allowed to touch you, but you can get separated from your partner. So if it's you and your girlfriend and only you decide to wear the necklace, or even if you don't decide, they can choose to just pull one of you, which is pretty cool. That's and crazy. Separate you. And then there's like hidden pathways and stuff like that. So I think that sort of thing is cool. And I was surprised that they didn't have that. However, I couldn't really complain. It was such a good time. The actors were great. And something that you picked up on, like the way they were built. But I also thought the costumes were like very unique. Some of them were like demons, but they looked so good. I was like, I want this costume. I was like, I've never seen this sort of costume before, but I want it. It's just so good.
Everything was detailed. Everything.
Exactly.
Costumes,
it was just so detailed.
Animatronics, the houses themselves, like everything was so detailed. And the most crucial piece of information here is the fact that it was scary. It was actually scary. Like I've seen, like I expected things here and there, but like the screams and the pop-ups and like I would always jump because it's like inevitable. You're gonna jump, and I just laughed because I was so happy to see such a scary place. My wife was scared. I was holding her the whole time. It's dark.
That's usually my reaction. I usually go from like walking in the front, jumping, and then I laugh, and then somebody else gets scared, and then I like look and be like, "Well, what just happened?"
Yeah, exactly. But
I don't know. It was great, and
it was awesome.
Just to drop a little tease there. I don't want to spoil anything, but there's this one house. I like to call it the Demon Nightclub. I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the Demon Nightclub. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but it was great.
I think I do.
It was so good. It was so good.
It was really great. They are strict on cameras, so you can't record. I think there was a guy that was trying to record, and like the guy like scared him. It was hilarious. He popped up out of nowhere. He goes, "No phones," and the guy turned it off completely because like there's one part where it's like it's pretty dark. Like you don't know where you're going.
Yeah, no, that's the whole point. That's why you can't have devices. You also don't want to spoil it for other people.
Of course, exactly. That's the whole point. Like it's great. It's fun. Like it's a great setup. After everything, like you do have like a place where you can take pictures with like all these like monsters and whatnot and food and like
Yeah.
And it's also the where it's located. It's like in the middle of nowhere. It feels like a movie. I have like a picture here I thought like was amazing. I wish I could share it here, but it's like the pathway leading up to the line, like, you know, and it was cold too, and it was just perfect, man. Seriously, everything about it was just great. Did like this picture right here. Look at this. I don't know if you can see that.
Nah, it's really blurry. There you go. I saw it for a second.
Like, whatever. I should have had it pulled up, but it's great. Like, it's definitely something you should do during the spooky season.
No,
100% recommend.
Yeah, highly recommend. Pure Terror Scream Park.
Yep. Real quick, since we're talking about theme parks, I mean haunted houses. I wanted to talk to you about that Tennessee haunted house. Remember, I had mentioned it before about how it's like $20,000 if you make it.
Oh yeah, that's some crazy shit.
And nobody has ever made it. So we got more information on it because I was really curious. Like, yo, $20,000 for a haunted house. There's no way I can't finish it. Apparently, when they make you sign the waiver explains that they can torture you. Like, they can like clip out your nails and stuff like that and grab you and like
that's weird.
Like, that is. I don't know if I want that. I don't know. If
that might be a little too much. I also heard something about like you being buried alive, and I'm like, okay, it's like how?
Where? That's crazy.
It's like it was like there's apparently a haunted house where you get buried alive. And it was like, oh, okay. I don't know. You gotta give me a lot of money and like guarantee my survival, I guess.
Yeah.
What I want to do, and I have yet to do this. I want to do a haunted house that has like an actual corn maze or like outside in a corn maze.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Yeah,
if you guys know any, please let us know. Please.
Yeah, I want to do that. I want to do it. I want to do it outside in the dark in a corn maze. Let's fucking go.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome. Yeah.
Besides that, we did get some other news.
Oh yes, some great news. If it is what you think you're talking about, yes. Go ahead. Tell them the great news, Tommy.
So Scream. Well, should we call it Scream 6 or Scream exclamation mark? Actually, got pushed up a week, right?
Well, more than 2 weeks.
Oh, more than 2 weeks. I thought it was 1 week.
It was March 31st, and now it's March 10th.
Oh, okay, so it's they pushed it up 3 weeks then. Exactly 3 weeks.
Absolutely.
So we're actually getting it early, and I was wondering why they did this. I was like, is there something else? I'm waiting for now like a movie announcement for the 31st.
Man. I'm happy that they pushed it up. You know me, I can't wait. And if you think about it, it's really not that far away.
Was it you that mentioned it to me? Like this is like the shortest gap between Scream movies?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's absolutely. I think one of the I know Scream was in 96, and then Scream 2 was 97.
It might be outside of those two. Outside of that one,
right.
This might be one of the shortest gaps, or the shortest gap.
Yeah,
or the second shortest, technically.
That to me, you know that thing scares me. I don't really like when like stuff comes out like a year after, unless they were writing this before and hoping that Scream would originally blow up and.
Yeah,
they were.
I don't know.
Waiting for the green light.
I agree with you, but I do appreciate that. Like, I appreciate not having to wait a lot, and especially if you give me like a cliffhanger or anything like that. One of the movies that I thought could have done that, of course, was we saw it together. We saw X, and then Pearl that came out shortly after. It's like, well, was there a year gap between that? Because Pearl was already done. We saw the trailer to Pearl at the end.
Was it a year? I don't even think it was a year. I might be wrong 100%, but like, yeah, that is insane. It was really fast.
Not a lot of movies do that anymore. I don't remember last time.
Not even shows do that. Like Stranger Things, like season 5 is coming ridiculous. Out in like 2 years. Like that's a little too much. I would give it like a year and a half, the most, you know.
Yeah,
like,
a year and a half. I feel like with shows, you should have that expectation that it's every year. Like by the time it's airing, you should be filming the next one.
But also them knowing. But see, this is I think it can be a problem where you wait for people's reactions. You know what I'm saying? I feel like
you shouldn't have to wait for people's reaction. You should already have it planned.
Exactly. So you should have it planned, at least get an idea, have some type of script ready, and if you want to manipulate it afterwards and change a little bit, fine. But they started from scratch in August, like after the season ended. I'm not trying to jump to Stranger Things. I'm just giving this as an example how it can be poor, you know, for the fans.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I'm excited for Scream. I'm excited for Scream. There was a leak apparently, like of a chair on set that was called Scream exclamation mark exclamation mark. I kind of like that. I think they're trying to get creative without actually saying Scream 2, but it's the second film after Scream. Like, cool.
Yeah, I don't know. It also plays on that whole reboot, remake,
Yeah,
whatever you
yeah,
want to call it. So I mean, we shall see. I'm still very, very interested.
yeah,
I still want to see it, so I'm very, very excited. And we don't really have, or generally have, a lot of horror movies at the beginning of the year, so I'm
yeah,
for it.
yeah. I'm for it. I'm hoping for a lot of kills, and I am still holding on to a text message that you sent me when I was in Australia in June. I don't know if you recall what text it was,
I do
but
not actually.
you texted me they casted somebody, I forgot his name,
Ah,
and
yes,
you
yes, yes,
you
yes, yes.
literally said to me, I don't care, this is a killer. Look how he looks.
It's like, look, I
Yo,
was like,
if
just his
that
face is like,
is the
I'm the
case,
fucking killer.
if that is the case, man, I will never question your judgment or input on any horror movie ever.
We shall see. We shall see.
Amazing.
I don't know. I'm still very interested. We know Hayden Panettiere's coming back as I know we
Yes.
already mentioned this, but
Yep.
that's another thing that has me very excited because I really liked her in Scream 4. So
Yeah. No, absolutely. Scream 4 is great, man. I don't know why people butcher it, but Scream 4 is great. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm excited. I want them to go on, man. Scream is my childhood too, so that should be good.
yeah,
Blah blah blah. Okay. I just want to let everybody know. Tom and I kind of discussed it. The Watcher is out. It's on Netflix. We touched base on a little bit last week. We are going to be reviewing it next week. So if you haven't watched it, try to catch up on it, and we would like to hear your thoughts as well. So be prepared for that.
so I guess just a quick tease, right? How many episodes have you seen so far? 4.
Quattro.
Okay, I think I've seen 5. Okay, okay. And so far,
Yeah.
I gotta say, man, I'm hooked. I'm
Yeah.
hooked. I was hooked after episode 1, but this shit took so many turns. I'm
Yeah,
hooked.
man. Honestly, I think it's crazy. Like what I want to do next week is just like I told you this before. Also, like I want to do the because it's based on true story. I want to see what's really true and what's not.
Gotcha.
And if the things that I think are true, that's tough, man. That's scary.
Yeah, but I also feel like we could do a whole episode. We could do so much on that particular. So much happens in one episode. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah. That's
With that
pretty
being
much-
said,
yeah.
I do have one last thing.
Go ahead.
No, and I'll do this just to tease it a little bit. Hideo Kojima, which I don't know if you know him, is making a horror game, and
Okay.
I'm very excited for this. Those who know, he was working on a Silent Hill game before that was canceled. There was a time, this was, I don't even remember what year, a couple years ago. I don't know if a lot of people are familiar with this. I don't know if you paid it, Mr. S. The playable teaser, PT. It was an exclusive demo for PlayStation. You know
Okay,
what? Are you familiar?
I have no. I'm not.
So I could be wrong on where it was announced. I don't know if it was E3 or Gamescom or something like that. But they announced this playable teaser where they said everybody was, scared and they couldn't finish the game. And then they finally released it. And nobody could figure out the ending. And it turns out there was like a crazy solution to the ending. Spoiler alert, you needed a microphone to be plugged in order to beat it. Yeah, crazy twist. And when they when they finally got to the end, it was revealed that it was Hideo Kojima was working on a Silent Hill remake with Guillermo del Toro, which I spoke about last week. He has that new show on Netflix. Yeah, so that was very, very exciting. Now he's making another game now because that ended up getting canceled only because he ended up leaving Konami and whatever. But I like the idea of him making a horror game. This is a man who's known for making Metal Gear Solid. Recently made, I forgot what the name is, but he made it with the guy from The Walking Dead, the motorcycle guy. What's his name?
Norman Reedus.
Norman Reedus was his video game. He was the protagonist of his last video game.
Yeah.
And I'm just excited for what this. He's a mastermind when it comes to making video games. And if he's making a horror game, I'm immediately in.
I will definitely look into that. I would love to play that. I love that. I know there's also another game coming out. The Devil Within Me or something like that. If I'm not mistaken, it's from the same people who made Quarry.
Yes. It's is it a sequel? I think it's supposed to be like their, I guess, big, like another one of their big games, but like even bigger than the Quarry. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's like supposed to be like almost a follow up to how big Until Dawn.
It looked great. I think it comes out this month on the 28th or something like that.
What was the title?
The Devil. Hold up, let me go on Steam. I have it on Steam. In the meantime, while I figure this out, there actually is something else that I do want to talk about. I cannot believe we didn't mention it, me and you, because I actually am curious to hear your thoughts on this. But let me find this thing first.
What can it be now? You teased me, and now you got me. You got my heart racing.
Devil. Oh yeah, The Devil in Me. Yeah, I like it. Yeah, it's The
Devil in Me, as you said, what it's called?
Yeah, the Dark Pictures anthology, The Devil in Me. A group of documentary filmmakers receive a mysterious call invited into a modern-day replica of a serial killer, H.H. Holmes' murder castle. But on arrival, they soon discover they're being watched and even manipulated. And suddenly there's much more at stake than just their ratings. November 18th. Correction. November 18th, not November 28th, November 18th. I knew it was 8 in there.
I think I know what this is. This is supposed to be like the conclusions of the trilogy of games that they were making before. Yes. I still want to play all of these. I own, I think, 2 of them. And I have yet to get to them.
I still gotta finish. I have Quarry. I'm gonna finish Quarry and Devil in Me. I gotta do it for sure. For sure.
I'm excited. Yes.
Yo, they're making a prequel, man.
So the rights dispute is over.
It's over, man. Officially over. We're finally getting Friday the 13th content, much awaited content.
I need a clapping noise here. I need. You don't have clapping here.
Long awaited, but man, like I feel like I'll take anything at this point. Like anything, and like prequels. I'm not a fan of prequels. You know that.
Yeah. Like
that, but. I'm interested. I'm hooked. I'm interested. I want something. I don't care what. Just give it to me.
I wonder if they just want to do something different since they're tired of like the same old thing. They want to do a prequel, but I guess it's more interesting. Not only that it's a prequel, but that it's a TV show. It's not a movie
show. Yep, it's a TV show following Chucky's footsteps. Possibly.
Well, let's not talk about Chucky right now. The question is, where is this going to air?
Did it say Peacock or no?
I think it did say Peacock. I think it did say Peacock.
Yeah.
So that to me tells me that they're gonna have a lot of more free reign here, right? It doesn't have to be all PG.
Yeah, I didn't know Peacock was so into this horror stuff, man. Like I didn't think it was gonna be like that.
I think that's maybe what they're trying to do now, and I'm for it. I'm for it. If it means we're getting more horror content in general, I'm for it.
Prequel.
Again, I am more not upset, but I'm more intrigued and confused about it being a TV show rather than it being a prequel. If it was a prequel and it was a movie, I wouldn't care.
I link
the fact
both
that
of
it's a
them together.
prequel and a TV show, I'm like,
I link both of them together because if it's a prequel and a TV show, like that means that you have a story in mind that's probably not Jason.
Yeah, this is probably not Jason. But then begs the question, is the lawsuit over? Because it wasn't the whole thing about Jason in the first place?
No, God. I guess we'll see.
Because if you were just going to use Pamela Voorhees, then you could have done this the entire time, no?
Yeah, but I don't think Pamela Voorhees...
Listen, man, we need more female killers. I'm all about representation.
No, listen, I'm down for female killers. What do you mean we need more? We have enough in Scream. Scream has a lot of female killers.
Scream. Only Scream, man.
Oh,
what other movie has? Actually, no.
Female killer, Barbarian. The poster you have behind you. That's a female
true. Technically, yeah, that is also true. Yeah. But I was thinking like slashers. I was like, there's not really. Like, am I missing one? I mean, obviously, there's The Bride of Chucky. There's Tiffany. That was the first one that came to mind.
Yeah. But yeah, that's that. I wanted to hear what you had to say about that.
Listen, that's huge news. That's huge. Don't get me wrong. Let's not let's not
People are
not
excited.
make a big deal
Twitter's
out
excited.
of this. Yeah, let's not make a big deal out of this, because the fact that we're getting more Friday the 13th content is huge. So,
Absolutely.
still looking forward to it. Still gonna watch it no matter what. Let's see what they do. Let's see what they do. It's Peacock, so I'll hold my thoughts and say this could be different, and they have a lot more free reign, right? If it was coming to
Yeah.
any other platform, I would probably say, but Peacock, well, I think they could do a lot now.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm interested. I'm interested.
Well, that's all that we have for this week, everybody. Thank you for tuning in, for listening, and then for watching. Please follow us at YouTube, Instagram, and on TikTok at Well That's Horrific, and on Twitter at That's Horrific. Because if you don't,
Well, that's horrific.
later, everybody.
Later.